Welcome back, you guys, to another amazing night with yours truly, Sylvia Camille. And I am so excited because we are kicking off our special guest for the month of August. And I have some special people that you're going to see tonight. But first I bring them into the room, I want to tell you the word of the week. And I want to say, I hope you all have been having an awesome summer and you got a chance to see some of my clips on every Sunday, what Sylvia Camille was doing for the month of July. But the word of the week today is lighthouse. And you're probably like, what? Lighthouse? How can that be inspiring? Well, I'm going to tell you the meaning of lighthouse. And one of my special guests, we're going to talk about being human lighthouses. So that's a new term. So lighthouse, a building or other type of structure designed to ignite light from lamps, lenses to serve as a beacon for navigation. So in our sense, we're being human lighthouses, and we're being a beacon for somebody's life educationally. So we're gonna learn to talk about more of that. So this week, as I talk with my guests, I want you to think about how can you be a human lighthouse someone during the week, and you can shine some positive light on them. So let's go ahead and bring our special guests in the room. First, we have my principal, yes, the best principal at APS, Dr. Kristen Horton, the principal of Continental Colony Elementary School. Woo! Y'all guys say hello to Dr. Horton.
Good evening.
And we have, who was my former instructional coach for math at Continental Colony, who is now the assistant principal at LP Miles, Dr. Stephanie Golden. Yay! So first of all, I just want to tell you all, thank you all so much for being a guest kicking off the month of August, because August is back to school month for everybody. Elementary, middle, high, college, post-grad, or whatever. This is the month of the time of the year where we know we gear back up for school. So I just thought it would be so nice to have some positive educational leaders on the platform for our viewers who might be adults or children or teenagers who might run across Sylvia Camille's Sunday Night Live. So there you are. Dr. Horton, we want to start with you. We know you are currently the principal of Continental Colony Elementary School. Can you tell the viewers what other roles have you served in the education?
All right. Well, thanks for inviting me tonight. So yes, I am currently the principal. But I started my career actually in kindergarten as a kindergarten teacher for half a year. Kindergarten teachers have a special place in my heart because then I moved to upper grades, fourth and fifth grade. So I taught fourth and fifth grade for about 8 years. Then I became a math coach for a school, the same school I was teaching in. And then I became a district level math facilitator where I supported a cluster of schools with mathematics. So I did that for 2 years, and then I was an assistant principal for 4 years, and then now a principal. So those are some of the roles.
Awesome. Dr. Golden.
All right. So again, thank you for having me as well. I've been in education for about 19 years. I started in elementary. No, I actually started as Head Start teacher. I was a Head Start teacher for 2.5 years with 4 and 5-year-olds. And then after I was a Head Start teacher, I then got a job mid-year as a 3rd grade teacher in a classroom with students that had gone through several teachers. And so I came mid-year. I taught 3rd grade, and I pretty much stayed in 3rd grade for a while until I became an instructional coach. I was an instructional coach in a different county. I actually moved up to Noonan, and I became an instructional coach as well as an assistant principal in Noonan as well. And so currently I'm an assistant principal in Atlanta Public Schools.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So now there's going to be some reflection time on your educational journey. I want to take you back to your childhood, because back to school for me was so exciting. And what I loved most was the night before the first day of school, where you lay out your clothes, you get your book bag, you make sure you got your pencils and all of that. So I want you both to take a quick second and just reflect back as a child. What was your fondest memory of back to school? Going to school.
Fondest memory of back to school. Kind of like what you said, in our neighborhood, we all went to the same school. So we had, just a lot of relationships. And so the day before, you showing your outfit. This is my first day of school outfit. You had all your school supplies, and just, gearing up to start another year. I can't remember a specific time, but just, getting ready, meeting new people, like finding out who your new teacher is was always great. So yeah.
Yeah, and I would ditto to that. It's funny you asked this because I was actually talking to my niece this morning, and her first day is tomorrow. So it made me reflect on how we used to prepare for our first day. So you had new clothes, but you didn't want to wear your new clothes when everybody else was wearing theirs. So I was telling her, you save your clothes to the second week when everybody's worn all their new clothes. You wear your new clothes the second week. So she was like, what do you mean? I was like, girl, you'll understand. Ask your dad. We used to strategize this thing because, you always wanted to be the flyest person at the school. You wanted to have the newest outfit. And then that gave you time to see if people had what you had already. So that was my fun this time. I loved, my mom used to come from Columbus. We would come all the way up to Atlanta. And we would go shopping because, of course, I didn't want to wear what everybody in Columbus was wearing. So we used to come up here to Shannon Mall, and my mom used to take me in there. We went shopping, and we drove back to Columbus, and nobody ever had on the clothes that I used to wear. I loved it.
I love it. That is so cute. I love it. Now, we know for some of our boys and girls in Atlanta public schools, especially at Continental College, we do have a uniform policy in place. We encourage that. Do y'all have that, Dr. Golden Pack, at your school?
Oh, yes, we do. We do uniforms for sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just real quick, what positive aspect of having a uniform clothing do you think for schools? Do you think that's helpful, not helpful? What's your opinion on that?
I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm somewhere in the middle. So when I came there, it was a big push for it. So I kind of, accepted that. But I do believe in, and I think it allows for everyone, if they don't have those things like Dr. Golden was talking about and I were talking about getting those new clothes and things like that. Everybody's in uniform and everybody has on the same thing. And then we're also able to provide those uniforms as well for students. But on the other end, you do want students to kind of express their identity. And in a sense, and we read this article last week, the hidden curriculum. And that's kind of part of that mentality that you're like following and doing what everyone else is doing, or that maybe that like factory mentality. So that's the other side of it that I really don't agree with. So I'm somewhere in the middle. That's why, I'm not like, oh, you don't have uniform, you have to go home. I don't do that. Like, as long as you're at school and you're learning, but I'm somewhere in the middle with uniforms.
All righty.
Yeah, I kind of the same way because I think I came from a district there were no uniforms, and so then I came to a district where there was, and I can remember there being times where students would say something about a child if they wore the same outfit the next day, or if they happen to not have newer clothes. So now that I'm in a district where that is pushed, I totally agree with it, only because to me as a parent, it will make it easier to buy clothes and I don't have to go and search and try to find out. No, you either going to wear a blue, white, or gold shirt and some khakis. Like, that's all to it. And then, you get to choose, you get a little creativity with your shoes. You might get to do that. But I have enjoyed just seeing how some of the kids actually do spruce it up a little bit with their hair bows or with their necklaces or their coats that they wear. So I am for it. I've seen a great deal I've seen a lot of the benefits of it, especially when that is an issue where it can affect the education of the children. So I am for it.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. We have some awesome comments over here. Miss Lee says, that is so true, Dr. G. I remember doing that too, going shopping. Miss Mabel want to say, greetings, ladies. We have some people on with us. We want to thank everyone right now for joining in with Sunday Night Live with our excellent educators from Atlanta Public Schools to kick us off. Jamba said, hey, Doc. So next question, guys. Still back in that child. What was your favorite subject in school and why?
Mine was science. I loved science. I had a science teacher that rapped in 6th grade, and that just took my heart. And he has been my most favorite teacher for all time. But I love science.
Do you remember his name?
Mr. Gibson. I sure do. Always remember him. And his daughter and I are friends on Facebook, so I get to see him on there. And so we knew each other, and I didn't even know that was her dad for a long time. And I told her, oh my God, he was my most favorite teacher. But I had never had Black male teacher that rapped, and he rapped science, and I loved science from then on.
Oh, well, awesome. That's probably why you're so creative and you love making things.
Yes.
Dr. Horton?
I would have to say math. Math is my favorite subject. It just made sense. It was fun. It was, it wasn't boring. When you went to math class, you were always learning something new. So I would say math.
Math. All right. And you remember your favorite teacher?
My favorite teacher was Mr. Camille. He was my 4th grade teacher. And it wasn't so just math, but he made learning so much fun. Like, we had classroom court. Like, when we had issues with each other, we would go to court, and your classmates were the jury, and whatever they said, that's what you had to do. We learned, we got our makeshift driver's license. We wrote books. He was just very creative. So,
that sounds like fun. That sounds like a whole lot of fun. All right. So let's talk about your journey when you decided, when you finished high school, you went to college. When did you know, how did you know that you wanted to pursue a career in education?
So initially for me, actually, when I was in high school, I was a part of a group called Cadet Teachers, and we would go back into the elementary schools or middle schools, whichever ones we wanted to teach, were interested in, and we would help a teacher, like assist a teacher. And I was able to go back to Mr. Camille's class to help him. He still taught 4th grade at the same school. So I was able to, learn from him. And so I really enjoyed teaching. But when I went to college, I was like, I think I want to be an accountant because, I love math. Mm-hmm. And so I started my freshman year, maybe on that path, but I was like, no, this is really not where my heart is. This is not my passion. So then I switched it up and changed over to elementary education.
All right.
What's interesting with me is I did not go to school for education. I was going to be a doctor. I love children and I wanted to be an OBGYN. And so my uncle talked about me being a teacher. He called me his little school teacher. I said, no, I'm not going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a doctor. That's what I'm going to be. So when I went through college, I was going to college I was taking pre-med classes. I was really pushing through, getting all those times in. But at the end of my graduation, I needed to take one more science class. So when I graduated, I needed to take another science class to go to medical school. Well, life happened when I graduated. My car broke down. I had to get a job. I had to start working. And so that's how I started working as a Head Start teacher. As I was doing that, I really loved doing that. And so I was like, wait a minute. My brother was like, man, you can become a doctor in education. I was like, for real? So I ended up going into education. So that's how I taught Head Start for 2.5 years, because I was working on my master's degree. So I could be a teacher because my undergrad is not in education. Okay. And so I ended up getting my master's. And once I got my master's, I then was able to start teaching at the elementary level. So I initially was not going to be a teacher at first, but I'm glad I did choose that route.
Awesome, because that was going to be my next segue to my next question. Do you see any regrets in taking that path in your life?
I don't have any regrets. I will say the very first class I had, that when I came in mid-year, they had gone through like 3 and 4 teachers. It was rough. And I did question, like, why did I do this? Like, this is not what's up. And then I had a classroom with no air, and I had a classroom full of children. Oh my gosh, it was miserable. But it took me a good 2 months to get them under control. And from then on, I was like, this is what I was meant to do, and it just comes naturally. So no, I have no regrets at all.
Great. That's awesome. So
yes, no regrets.
No regrets. Good, Doc. No regrets. And I can tell through the work because, I've worked with both of you all. So I know the passion is there. But for any new teacher or somebody who's thinking about becoming a teacher, describe for them, Doc Golden, you said yours a little bit, your fondest memory as the beginning teacher. What advice would you have for them who's listening?
I would definitely say, and I actually just gave this advice to my niece, like, make sure this is something you want to do, because I think a lot of people come into education and they think, oh, I can teach. It's easy. If you've ever heard the quote, those who do, or those who can't, they teach, or whatever, that horrible quote. But I think you really have to have a passion for it. it has to align to your why, because it is very hard work. It's not, you're not walking in the class, you're not babysitting all day. You are changing lives and you are educating children, which is extremely difficult. Like teaching someone how to read, that's a difficult science to it. And it's not just walking in a room and giving a book and saying, okay, read these things, read these words. So I really think you have to reflect and you have to think, is this what I really want to do? Is this aligned to my why? Because when it gets tough, like Dr. Golden said, she was in a class and the kids had 3 teachers. When it gets rough, you just can't give up on kids. So I think, you really have to have a passion for it and ask yourself, is this what I want to do?
Yeah. And I agree with that completely. And I would just add to that and just say, when you decide to do this, just go all in, stay professional and hold true to you and yourself and what it is that you went to this for. I can recall there being so many times that, I've seen teachers that get in there and they get worn out because of the work that they're having to do. They get worn out because this is not what they thought it was. You can't be afraid to ask for help. We already know y'all don't know, as a new teacher, us veterans, we know you don't know. And it just bothers me when a teacher will get in there and they will just come off and make all these mistakes. I'm like, why didn't you ask me? Like I come and ask every day, do you need help or support? And so I think that it's important that you don't be afraid to ask for help. We know you need the help. So just ask for it. And I think that's keen as well.
Awesome. I love it. So let's talk about this as leaders, and you both experienced last week with the 2 days of pre-planning with your staff. As a leader in education, setting the tone for a building, what inspires you and what is your why?
Well, my why is increasing life chances for kids. And you two know that I say it all the time. And so I think this year preparing was a lot different because, you were preparing for people to gather again. We really had not seen our entire staff since March 13th of 2020. So I think this year more than ever, it was really different because you were thinking about not only making sure that the content was right, that you were intentional about your time, but, making sure people are comfortable. Okay, how much space do we have? What can we do to ensure people's comfort? How to respect those people who really kind of aren't ready to come back, but, they have to. So, this starting this year is a lot different than any other year. And I think it was, just getting everything right and being intentional and just, because the way you start is the way you finish, right? And then when you do that for your staff, they do that for their students, right? So it's just a trickle effect. So just really, seeing people, differently than we had before.
Giving some grace.
Grace.
Yes, I love that. I think that's good.
Grace to grow.
I agree with everything. My why is, and I always say this, wherever I go, is to just provide those equitable opportunities for all students, no matter their zip code, no matter where they're at. I want for all students to have the same type of education. I get very frustrated when I go from an affluent school to one that is maybe Title I, and there are discrepancies in the two, and there shouldn't be. We should all be the same. So luckily, I've had opportunities to be at a lot of different schools for good reasons, not just I just jump and go, but it's just been promotions and been great, reasons to move. But I really love the fact that it provides those. I want to provide those opportunities for all students, no matter where they're at. So I agree. I do think that setting the tone, meaning that you're prepared for them to come back, and you also are respecting their thoughts and feelings on this, because honestly, we're all still kind of timid because the variant has come now. And so now that puts a lot more attention on everyone. But I do believe just listening to and respecting their feelings, but just letting them know, like, I got you, like, we've got something in place. We're going to be there to support you during this transition and during this time. And just, I think that that's important as well. Just having resources and being available to listen.
Oh, I love it. Good stuff. Good stuff. So we have that's all the positive. We are very positive on Sunday Night Live, but let's talk about some challenges that you all might anticipate returning face to face after being virtual for a year and some months.
Yes.
Yes.
So in the realm, with parents, with the children, with the teachers, instructionally, closing the gaps for those children who we know that didn't get that one-on-one direct instruction that we know all children need.
Yeah. So the biggest challenge, I think, will be the unfinished learning. You know, so many of our students, they may not have come online or a couple of days a week, or, you know, even if they were there, they may not have engaged the way they normally would. So I know we're going to have a lot of students coming back, and we're trying to close gaps, but still maintain the bar. So I think that's going to be a challenge, just making sure that we don't get sidetracked. You know, a mini lesson doesn't turn into a full 40-minute lesson when, you know, or that we're really pinpointing and using data to really get what's the gap, and what can we close before we teach this lesson, instead of just remediating all year. So I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, keeping your pulse on it, being in classrooms, just being intentional about the way you're spending your time. So I'm so excited about bringing everybody back. You all know, like, I'm so happy that our students, like, what I was thinking today, our third graders, they're in fifth grade. The third graders that we saw in March,
Right.
they're in fifth grade now. Like, we're preparing them to go to middle school, and I haven't seen them for a whole year and a half. So just knowing that, it's like a challenge in itself. Like, okay, what did they miss? If they missed, can we catch them up? But also those students that were there engaged, and maybe their families were supporting more than ever before, they're ready to be pushed to the next level. So ensuring that we're not holding them back as well.
Excellent.
I've got, I think it's either 2 or 3. I just thought of one when Dr. Horton was talking. One thing I would just say is, one challenge is our bodies getting acclimated to walk in the building again. And walking with a mask on, because like it will take your breath away. So I'm just being honest, like when I actually got back in the building and needing to walk, I was like, oh, I had to stop, take a breather, and put it back on. Like, it was literally, my body was tired and I couldn't breathe. So I will say I got a little contraption I put in there to help me to breathe. But I will tell you, that's the toughest thing, is our bodies adjusting to back moving around and up and moving. That's one. One, I will say, and I'm speaking to all teachers, so I'm gonna look at the cameras. You cannot go back to paper and pencil. And like, that's one of the greatest things that I'm just like, teachers, please don't do it. We have had this time. We have in all of our mission statements for our students to be global citizens in a technology environment. Yes. There is no possible way we can go back to paper and pencil. So I pray that is not what we do. And then the third thing is, I know parents are tired of teaching, but that we still need them on board. We still need their support. We still need them to help with homework, so we can close this gap that Dr. Horton was talking about. So I think that it's going to be really important that our parents still understand that they play a key role in our children's education. I do appreciate that they respect us a lot more now, since they had to do pretty much our job for over a year, or support us in our job. But I do believe that, you know, we've got to continue to support one another.
That's great. That brought me to, y'all are right on it. See,
we've been around each other too long, all three of us.
Y'all are on it, because my next question that everyone is anticipating about the parent support, is it going to still be there? You know, because they're giving their children back to us, you know. So they might be like, oh, hands off. I don't have to do as much. I don't have to be as engaged. So you talked about it just a little bit, Dr. Golden, but how we know, how important is it to have parent support pre-COVID, post-COVID?
So important.
Very.
And I was just having this conversation with my assistant principal, and it's not about, like, I want us to kind of get away from engagement is filling seats in the auditorium on Title I night. Yeah, that's great. You know, having a packed house at the Black History program, that's great. But the kind of engagement we need is really rallying with the teacher and supporting students. So, for example, if you're a child's teacher, and I know as a principal, I preach this every single day, give me 30 minutes of independent reading when you go home, right? And my quiz is, when I'm standing at the bus lane, good morning, you know, boys and girls are coming up saying good morning. First thing I say, what did you read last night? Just to catch them off guard. And some of them can, read it out to me and tell me about what they read. And most of them are like, oh, I didn't read last night. Or, they kind of make something up. But that's the kind of engagement I'm talking about. Just rallying with the teacher in the school. Most of our staff, we have playlists. There's plenty of activities on that playlist to help support the student in getting to those targets. So really just taking maybe 30 minutes in the evening just to connect with your child on what they learned. Because most of the time, if you ask the child, what did you do in school today? Or how was school today? It was okay. But really engage with them on the things they're learning and, just support that. So I love the kind of engagement where parents are coming to the school, coming to programs. But we truly, in order to close gaps and just to push students further, we need the type of engagement where you're rallying with the teacher. That teacher is your best friend for the year. Yes. And what she says, you're supporting at home each and every day. Because if you go to the gym one day and you work out for 9 hours, you're not going to lose weight. You're not going to lose much weight that day. And then you don't do it again until next month. But if every single day you go work out for 30 minutes, you're going to see change, right? So engaging in those conversations every single day, I think that's true engagement. And that's the engagement we need.
Love it.
That was well spoken, Dr. Horton. Very well.
Thank you, Dr.
That was nice. I just said the same thing. I think it's going to be so important. And in my mind, what keeps rattling is just when we're going to send something home every night. So like Dr. Horton said, read 30 minutes, even if they tell you they don't have any work to do, which they will. So just read and just be sure that if for any reason we are sending technology or we are allowing for them to have technology type assignments to do, be innovative. Use your phone if we've got to. If they have a laptop, use that. But just take care of the technology and teach the children to take care of it, because that's what we're doing as well. Because we do want them to have the opportunity to be able to use it throughout the year. And it makes it so much easier if we're all on the same page of being able to just take care of the homework, technology, just whatever they may need in order to prepare them for the next day at school. So I think Dr. Horton voiced it very well, but parent support is definitely still needed, especially if we're going to continue to close those achievement gaps.
Love it. Now let's talk about on a global perspective. I'm going to shift gears. Educationally, think in the realm of just globally with education. What do you see as the major issues in education today, and how can they be resolved?
There you go.
Go. I got mine, but you go.
That's a deep one, I know.
I think it's stability and sustainability. So most of the time in education, someone may be the principal for 3 years, 4 years, and they move on. Or you may have a teacher in your building for 3 and 4 years. And then, you're starting over every time something changes like that. So I think it's the biggest challenge, this is just from my perspective, is stability. And then when you come into a place, just kind of observing what's happening. And of course, if it's not working, you have to change it. But if it is working, and you tweak a few things. But I think a lot of the burnout with teachers as well as leaders is constantly changing. Like you put something in place, now you have to change it and you have to learn something. And I know change is great. Like I'm not talking about just change. I'm just talking about completely revamping things. So I think that's huge. Like in classrooms and schools and districts, I can just think of the staff that I've had that have been there for the past 5 years and where they are now. Like they can stand up and teach in front of anybody, and get results. You know what I mean? But that came from progressing. And I'm not saying you can't leave and then progress somewhere else. You can, but I think it creates stability for kids too, and that's when you really see results. So I think the biggest challenge is just stability and really getting on the front lines and talking to people who are on the front lines about what is needed. Because if you're not in a classroom every day, teaching kids every day, it's hard to really understand what we need. So I think really bringing in voice from people on the front line about what it looks to be stable in a school or a district or a state, period, I think that's huge.
Awesome. It sounds like you two gonna run for some educational political positions in the future.
And
We should. Oh,
So do you have something to say about that? The issues in education globally around the world.
I think some of the issues that I've seen is there's still a disparity between one school to another, whether it's by district. I mean, sometimes it can even be down the street. It just kind of blows me how I've had the opportunity to be at several schools. And luckily I'm able to take what I know and try to build everywhere I go. But it just kind of bothers me how I have friends that are in smaller districts that do not have the resources that we have in the larger district that we're in. I've seen within certain schools where there's things available in one school that's not in another. I am proud that this year that we do have 1-to-1 across the district, which I'm glad that we have that opportunity. But then now it gets to, okay, even though we have this at school, if I need to send children home with homework and they don't have a hotspot that the school may have given, or if I've got 4 and 5 kids and they're all on one Wi-Fi, one hotspot or one connection within my house, then there's some disparity to that. The kids are not going to have the opportunity to be as successful as other students are. So I really feel like that is something that no matter what district, where we go in the world, there's always that disparity, and there should not be, but it still exists.
Awesome. I love it. So I know I just put in a plug. You never know. You might become a politician for education and go. So let's talk about this. What are the other goals? Because most time, becoming a principal, that might be the pinnacle of what you want to do in education. But do you all have any future goals in education or what you want to do to contribute in the education arena?
Yeah, like my biggest goal is just to create a school from scratch. So private, charter, whatever, but a school that really focuses on student purpose, like their purpose in life. Because some students already know. And a middle school to high school, because I think, that's when we kind of start to lose kids. And sometimes if you already know your why, your purpose, some of this extra stuff may not be needed. But really building a school that focuses on, it's called Purpose Pathways, and focusing on students and giving them that path to where they want to go, or they can explore tons of different options, right? Just so, I think a lot of people spend the majority of their life not living out their why, and they're, confused, or they're not happy, they're just waking up, going through a routine just to make money. And so what if you discovered your why at the age of 8 to 9, 10, think about what type of life you could live. So that's one of my biggest
dreams. I love it. Dr. Golden?
One of mine, and I think we are kind of already living this, but I love the ideal of being able to go in and transform schools to whereas it's equity for everyone. So we get in there, and Dr. Horton and I already kind of do this on the side, but you kind of get in there, you put these frameworks and things in place, you work with the teachers, build them to be teacher leaders so that the school can run like a well-oiled machine. So in my mind, I would love to be able to go in and go from school to school and just help them to, not saying know how a school should be ran, but just looking at what works in schools and what's effective in schools. And so I love working with adults. I love working with building teacher leaders. And I love being able to have an environment that just kind of runs like it's supposed to. Everybody loves coming to work. They enjoy being there. The children are learning, the teachers are teaching. And that's just the kind of environment that I would love to be able to help support and build in schools.
Okay, awesome. So this brings me to the segue of the Kristen and Stephanie's Conversations with Kristen and Stephanie podcast. Let's talk about that, because you two both love to teach people. You all are teachers at heart. You both love to do that. You love to educate people. So tell me, how did this podcast come about? Tell the viewers and I, how did this come about?
So, Dr. Golden and I, we kind of sit around, talk on the phone for hours about leadership, right? And so one day we were like, why do a podcast, you know? And so just really having the conversations that we have, because a lot of times when you sit the most, you know, I learn the most when I'm sitting with other leaders, just having conversation about what they're doing, their thoughts. You know, I learned so much from just sitting around with other leaders. So I think we just, you know, we were always talking, and we were like, let's make this into a podcast. And so we birthed CoffeenConvo with Steph and Chris.
And there's something else, like, you know, during the pandemic and just in general, we really put ourselves out there with doing these online conferences. And so I think that when we were doing these conferences, we saw the same issues everywhere. We did local conferences. We had the opportunity to do international conferences, state conferences, but all the teachers had the same issues. And so when we were, again, having our in-depth conversations, we would talk about some of the things. We're like, we're seeing this everywhere. So why not do a podcast that will allow for everyone to hear these thoughts? So exactly, we have when our conversations, we're like, we got to record every time we talk because it's good stuff. Like, it's really good. Yeah. And so that's kind of how it came about. That's how it came about. Yeah.
Right. So I love it. The first podcast, for the viewers who don't know about it, and I want you all to tell them how they could subscribe to your podcast. But the first one was an intro to Kristen and Stephanie. And the second one was What's in Your Basket. And the third one, you all are doing a series with women in leadership. So tell all the viewers, and if you want to, you can put it in the comment, how can they subscribe to your all's podcast?
I did put the link in the comment, but you go to blueberry.com/coffeenconvo/. You can also look at any of our social media. We have Go Lead on Instagram, Go_lead. Is that right? On Facebook as well as Twitter. So
Go Lead now. Go Lead now on Instagram.
I love it. I love it.
We have the links there as well.
Yeah, the links are there.
I want you to tell also the name of those conferences, because most people might know there might be someone who's listening who might be a leader in education, and they might need for you all to come speak to their staff. So tell them how they can get in contact also with you with that, and just give them those titles, what you all specifically talk about when you do those conferences.
So the focus, one of the biggest things that we focus on is working from your why. So our presentations are based in the research, Simon Sinek's theory, the golden circles theory. So working from the inside out, working from your why, then moving to your how, and then what you do. So our work focuses on that how. So we are able to build frameworks for schools. Instructional frameworks are basically how your school should run. What do you want to see every single day in every single classroom? And so we base it based on your school data and population. What my students need at Continental may not be the same thing that Dr. Golden students need at Miles. So based on your research, what does your school need? So we have a group called Go Lead or Leads, and we work with schools and build those frameworks, and then we build look-fors, so then you can train your teachers like we were talking about. So we've presented at the National Title I Conference, World Future Forum. I mean, you can see, if you go to their website, you can see their on-demand material where and the focus of our what am I trying to say? Our presentation. So basically it's focused on how are you going to get to your why? What do you want to see in every single classroom, every single day? And then ensuring that you're training your teachers to actually see that. So again, IG, Go Lead Now. We're also, you can reach out to us if you would like more information on us coming to support your school and your school-based leadership team. goleadnow@gmail.com, because it goes back to what I talked about. The challenge is sustainability and stability. And so we work to help your leadership team build a legacy. So even long after you're gone, that system is still in place, working towards the why, the purpose of your organization.
I love it. That is good stuff. And guys, right now I'm switching over. I put it up for us in the comments section. I'm pulling it over. So jot that down. Dr. Horton and Dr. Golden Peck, these are the educators that you want to put before your leaders and your teachers in your building this school year, so you can make sure everybody is ready. Now, before we move on to playing our game, who is smarter than a fifth grader?
Uh-oh.
Real quick, two questions before we do our game and get ready to wrap up. And viewers, if you have any questions or comments that you want to ask Dr. Horton or Dr. Golden, go ahead and put in the comment section at this time, and I'll make sure I put it up on the board. But for the parents and for the kids, what's your advice for them for preparation for this new school year?
All right, we can bounce off each other. All right. So the first one I'm going to say.
5 good tips.
5. Okay, we're going to bounce off, Dr. Horton.
Okay.
All right. All right. So the first one I would say is to be innovative in your teaching and continue to be creative. So be very innovative in your teaching, how you deliver information to your students.
I think number 2 is going back to what Dr. Golden said about walking the building. So prepare yourself. So this is for everybody. We've been in a different type of situation for the past year and a half. So your body will react differently. So prepare yourself. Go to bed, get a good night's rest, get a good breakfast, and just, get your mind right for our, being structured all day again.
All right. I will say this is number 3. I will say embrace change. Even though we've come from our pandemic, there are a lot of things that we have learned. There are a lot of things when we go back out into our buildings. There are more we're going to learn. So just embrace that there are going to be some changes. Depending on your district, there may be changes that come from the top and we have to push down to the teacher. So just be ready to embrace those and know that those changes are with good intention.
Awesome.
I also think being intentional, very intentional about the way you spend your time is going to be huge, especially for teachers, because we talked about those gaps. So, making sure that you're still maintaining the bar, but you also are closing gaps.
And I will end it with our last one is assume positive intent, meaning that no matter what people may say or no matter what may come at you, because there's a lot that's going to come at you. I've seen that even during the summer with people coming in trying to register their children. There is a positive intent behind it. So when you approach situations, just think of it in that way, and that will assist you with not having stress, not getting high blood pressure, not getting, removing yourself out of your character that you may have. So just think about it as, okay, what is the real reason that they are yelling at me about not wanting to bring that paperwork up to the school? Just think that everything has a positive intent behind it.
I love it. This has just been awesome. Some excellent educational nuggets to inspire everyone to be human lighthouses. Okay. Remember, that's the word of the week. Now, I have to ask you, this has nothing to do with education or whatever. It's just about your life. Remember, the platform here, our mantra at Sylvia Camille is to dream what? Big. Dream big, dream big. Dr. Horton. Dr. Horton talked about hers just a little bit. But in life, we, everything on this journey, we have different passions and different experiences. So what is your biggest dream? What do you want that dash in the middle to stand for in your life? What is your biggest dream?
Mine is not educational.
And it doesn't have to be.
All right. So if mine were, I didn't have to worry about money. I didn't have to worry about anything. My biggest dream is to have the opportunity to go and explore different cultures. I love going and I love traveling. I love going and seeing how people do different things within their culture. And that allows me to give more, I just have more understanding and more empathy, I'll say, for a lot of different cultures and why they approach things the way that they do. It makes me appreciate where I'm from sometimes, but I just want to have the opportunity just to travel. I want to just travel, enjoy life, and just be able to enjoy just visiting different cultures and learning from them.
I love it. Love it. Doc?
Oh, I kind of hit on mine earlier.
You hit on yours. We know your biggest dream is the purpose school. You got another one?
Okay, I'll give you part 2. So the second part is I love designing, like interior design. Like I love it. I'm on Pinterest all day long. Now I get a chance to put it into action. So my biggest dream is just that, like just designing houses.
I love it. And I wish you all could see your beautiful smiles when you were expressing your biggest dreams. You know, it was, I wish you could see it. It was just beautiful when you said my biggest dream. And as human lighthouses this school year, you all are going to impact a child's dream.
Yep.
So kudos to you all. Kudos to you all. Now, let's see who is smarter than a fifth grader.
Let me get some paper and pencil.
I didn't teach beyond third. So let's see.
Oh my goodness. Oh, wait. I know.
Okay.
With all of this, I mean, this is very important, especially for the people who are listening too, because as you said, we're coming out of a pandemic. I need to know though, because this is something that's very important. Then we're going to play the cute little game, and viewers, you can help them in the comment. But we need to know, give some advice. How do you self-care and balance all of this going on? Real quick. How do you self-care?
Trying to figure that out.
Wes, we need to get the clinical therapist for you, Doc. Okay. You're still trying to figure that out.
No, I think during the pandemic I did a lot better with it, but now that everything is like hitting, like, okay, you kind of forgot that how many decisions you make in a day, right? Like when it was, just you, even virtually, it was a little, I mean, you didn't have to worry about a building. You kind of just had to worry about all the classes online.
Yep.
So this past 2 days, it's like decision fatigue. Like, I don't want to think this weekend, like literally. So I think I just kind of have to remind myself of those things that I did going back to school, and just keep that, like making sure I'm trying to work out at least 3 to 4 times a week, you
don't work on Saturdays.
Not working on Saturdays, like sticking to those things that I put in place before. So I haven't, if anybody has mastered, self-care, like, taking care of yourself and working and starting the new school year after a pandemic, please, I'll put my information in the chat.
I love it, Dr. Cole.
I haven't mastered it either, but I will say that I have things in place that kind of force me to do it. I'm very intentional. I took from Dr. Horton. I don't do anything on Saturday work related. I try to stick to that. I'll be bombarded on Sunday, but I'm not doing anything Saturday, so don't ask. I have friends and my mother who will call me and says, "Have you eaten? Did you go and do this? Did you go and do that? You need to step away from it for a minute." So she will definitely, confront me on that. And I try to make my appointments, like my hair, if I've got to get my toes, like I hold to those. Like I make sure that I have to do it, because I'm telling you, it's times where when I don't have that appointment already made, I forget, or it'll get left behind and I don't have time to make it. So I try to hold true to those things. But it's great to have people on your team that hold you accountable for taking care of yourself. And it's unfortunate that in our profession, we give so much of ourselves to others to where we're deficient in doing that for ourselves.
Well, I want to charge both of you this year to stick to, Doc knows I'm going to hold her to it. I
put a lunch on my tracker.
She knows Kirsten is going to hold her to it.
Yeah.
I'll be texting you, Dr. Golden Pack, to make sure.
Yes.
So now, are you all ready to find out, are you smarter than a fifth grader?
All right, let's go. We ready. Got my pencil and paper. We ready.
And remember, viewers, who's ever watching, I'm going to read the question first and the choices, and at the end, they can tell me their answer. And if you want to help them out, do so in the comment section. Okay.
Yes, please help. Please.
And we want to say a shout out to all of our viewers: Miss Rose Bailey, Christopher Gomillion, the AP at Continental Colony, Miss Wright, the school clerk, Miss Jillian Lee, Miss Ellie, Miss Evans, Laverne Golden, Mabel Jones, LaCura Lee, Annette Mitchell, Chalmer Shaw. I'm trying to catch everyone's name. I'm gonna have to put this one up. Broadwater, I don't want to pronounce your name incorrectly. Jasmine Bond. Thank you all so much for joining tonight. And I hope the information that you heard, that you can pass it on to someone. Don't forget, at the end, you can share this link and share with all your friends who are educators and those who are parents of children who are starting a new school year. So here we go. The first question. How many days are in a leap year?
366.
No, she's the gifted child in the classroom. She's not going to, do you want, we're going to have somebody in the class who's going to.
I didn't know we had options. Okay.
Yes.
She didn't listen to directions.
She didn't listen to directions. It's okay. But when I wrote this question, I said, Doc will know this right off. And she
yeah, I'm glad because I didn't. I'm glad she knew that.
So there are 366 days in a leap year. Next question. Let's see if she's going to get this one. Who is the mathematician who is considered the father of trigonometry? A, Albert Einstein. 2, B, Garrett Morgan. C, Alice Walker. D, Hipparchus of Nichos. Something like that.
The first thing came to me was Einstein. I don't know why. I'm just going to say Einstein.
What were the other options?
She got to repeat all those.
Albert Einstein, Garrett Morgan, Alice Walker, and Hipparchus, Hippachous of Neosha, Nicoea.
It must be D because that's the weird one.
It's D because we know Albert Einstein, that was science. Alice Walker,
Look, yeah,
literature. Garrett Morgan, traffic light. So. Process of elimination. We know we're going to teach our babies how to do that too.
Yeah. When you said his name the second time, it's something inertia or something you said that made me, I don't know, something you said made me think about math. So then that's why I chose D last.
Right. We have some viewers who got Miss Perry.
Mr. Perry. Yeah, I saw Miss Perry.
Perry got it. Miss Lee got it. All right. Broadwater got it. Awesome job, guys. Awesome job. All right. Now this is a good one. English. Name 3 articles in the English language. A, me, them, us. B, a, and the. C, I, me, we. D, it, them, and us.
B.
It's B.
B, right. Great job. Great job, leaders. All right, 2 more questions. Which is the most populated state in North America? A, I know. I'm wait. A, Minnesota. B, Georgia. C, California. D, Michigan.
But I thought it was. It's not there.
Yeah, and I thought it was something else too because I saw it on something.
I thought it was New York City.
I ain't thinking right now.
Okay, let me see. If
the most populated, either Cali or New York.
I mean, New York.
It's California.
I guess California.
It's California. Oh, Mr. Camille. Mr. Camille got it. California. Yay. All right, the last question. What is a person who studies dinosaurs called? A, a biologist. B, a dentist. C, a veterinarian. D, paleontologist.
A paleontologist. I knew that one.
Awesome. Woohoo. They say woohoo, Callie. Very good. Very good. Well, ladies, that is all our time we have tonight with Sunday Night Live with Sylvia Camille. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. I want to again thank you all so much for being my guest to kick off August. You know, I have a special guest, and I want you to be lighthouses. Lighthouses. Real quick, Dr. Horton, I'm going to put you on the spot. Tell everyone why it's important to be a human lighthouse, and Steve Pemberton, who Doc introduced our staff to. And well, when we were in our leadership with APS this summer, the district shared his story with us.
It's important, like he said, like these people, some of the people, they didn't do huge monumental. It was these little things they did for him when he was at his lowest most of the time that helped. Like the lady just smiling at him during the spelling bee. He was in a spelling bee, and this lady, she just kept smiling. The judge, she kept smiling every time he spelled a word right. And he remembered her, and later on in life, she came back into his life. So just those little things and just showing people that you see them, I think is huge. So I think in being a lighthouse, just plugging in, being present, and just showing people that you see them. I think that's huge.
I love it. So we want to challenge everybody this week to be a human lighthouse and through the whole school year. Dr. Golden, any last words for our viewers?
I think that sounds great. I was just thinking about a lighthouse and how it beams. out on the ocean or out on the water. And so just being that beam of light for everyone. I think in administration, we get so boggled down so much with data, with curriculum, with making results, but just be that beam sometimes. Just step outside of what we normally do and provide teachers with that support or that love or that you're doing a great job. Just put that out there and just be the light that they need sometimes, because we can tell within a building whenever our teachers are down or our kids are. And so we just have to make sure that we're that light for them, so that they can see the way throughout the school year.
All right. I love it. You two hold tight for 1 second, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Well, guys, that's the end of our show. And I just want to encourage you this week, as both docs have said, because I call them my dockies, to be like human lighthouses. And I want to wish you much success in this new school year, 2021, 2022. Don't worry about any of the challenges that we're going to face. If you get down and depressed, you can always go to Sylvia Camille's YouTube channel and pull up this video, and Dr. Horton and Dr. Horton and Dr. Golden can inspire you. So same time, same place, next Sunday, 6 o'clock. I love you guys. Smooches. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, share.